Look closely at a map of southern New England. Ever wonder why there's one place on the Connecticut-Massachusetts border where Massachusetts dips down into Connecticut? Well, wonder no more. Welcome to Southwick, Massachusetts, home of the Southwick Jog.
I believe it's called a jog because of the way it jogs down into Connecticut.
An aberration in the borderline. It dips down into Connecticut.
On this side of this stone is Connecticut, and on this side of the stone is Massachusetts.
It confuses people. Directions.
This road is in Connecticut, per se.
They think they're in Southwick, Mass, and the next thing you know, they're in Suffield, Connecticut.
Today, it doesn't make any difference where the boundary is. It was settled so many years ago that it doesn't matter to a person living in the jog whether they're in Massachusetts or Connecticut.
It's almost impossible to build out there. Everything we do, we have to go through two states. One state says do this, the other state says do that.
Southwick is shaped the way it is in respect to the jog because of the Congamon Lakes as a source of water. They are spring-fed lakes. Everything comes out of the lake. Nothing flows into it.
I understand it was a result of a drunken surveyor, but I don't know if that's historically accurate.
How true it is, we don't know. One of the other theories is that while Connecticut was sleeping, Massachusetts snuck down and stole the lakes from them.
The jog came about originally as a result of a mistaken survey made 22 years after the landing of the Pilgrims.
The Massachusetts Bay Colony's charter set its southern boundary on a latitude running west to the Pacific Ocean from a point 3 miles south of the source of the Charles River. In 1642, an inaccurate survey made by Massachusetts placed the borderline 7 miles too far south into Connecticut.
When Westfield was set off from Springfield in 1669, it took advantage of that mistake and grabbed with its southern boundary all of the Congamon Lake region. The southern border of Westfield encompassed all of the Congamon Lakes, all sides of it. Southwick was set off as a district in 1770. In 1774, a group petitioned Connecticut to break off from Southwick, Massachusetts and join Connecticut. They seceded to Connecticut in 1774, and they stayed in Connecticut until the end of the American Revolution. But when the American Revolution was done, then Massachusetts and Connecticut went back to the table and continued to argue over the Congamon Lakes and the little jog that is known as Southwick until it was finally solved in 1803. The key to the jog was the control of the water coming out of the Congamon Lakes, and that's why the problem started in the first place, and eventually it ended with Massachusetts in 1803 being in control of the water coming out of the Congamon Lakes. There are no repercussions today on the fact that the Southwick Jog is a part of Massachusetts sticking down into Connecticut. It was all decided 190 years ago.
If I could start this over again, I would have never bought this property, never built this house, and never lived in a town in North Granby. Because of the complications of the jog, every time you go to do something, you have to involve two states.
This is a brownstone marker. It was put in here in 1803 when Connecticut and Mass finally decided where the Connecticut-Mass line should be. Okay, this brownstone marker was set up in a line. On this side of this stone is Connecticut, and on this side of the stone is Massachusetts. I own roughly 1.5 acres of land in Connecticut and roughly 40 acres of land in Massachusetts.
The main reason we built this house on the Connecticut line is so that our children could go to school in Connecticut. As a landowner in both states, we pay taxes to both states. We pay town taxes to Granby and town taxes to Southwick, Mass. Our telephone is Connecticut. Our mailing address is Connecticut. We also have a mailing address in Mass. Some of our cars are registered in Connecticut, and some of our cars are registered in Mass. Our lights are Connecticut. Police department's Connecticut, emergencies all Connecticut. When we bought this property, we bought 4 building lots on a surveyed map. So when we bought this property 35 years ago, I had the hopes of someday giving all this property to the children so they all could build a house each with 6 or 7 acres each on it. My problem is to build some houses in the back, I have to come off Cooley Road. There's one little strip of land in here that's Connecticut between Cooley Road and the Mass line. It matters where this state line is because to put the estate lots in the back, like I told you, we have to have a plot plan. I can't prove to you exactly where that line is. This property was surveyed 3 times by 3 different surveyors. And 3 different times, they came up with 3 different Mass lines. They said that the correct way to do it would be to take the 1906 marker on East Street and Cooley Road and the other 1906 marker, which is on Loomis Street, which is down in that area, and draw a straight line. That would be the only way to get the correct line. But because of the cost of it and the time it would take them, they said that this line right here is good enough for now. This is the line we'll use. As far as we can tell, or as far as I feel, the town of Granby or the town of Southwick doesn't really care exactly where the line is. They want to know basically where it is, but to pinpoint it, they have no interest in doing that. I personally would like to know exactly where that line is, exactly. What I would like to do is the state of Connecticut and the state of Massachusetts to come out here with their own surveyors, draw this line, stake it out, put in monuments, this year, this date, and forever hold that this is the line.